Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. This is the podcast for the 8th of January 2023, the second one of the year. How's your year going so far? Have you broken your goals for the year yet? Are you fit? Have you been healthy? Or are you doing it like every year and just eating whatever you want? This is the podcast for everything going on here in Japan and outside in the big wide world. We've got some big stories coming in. We certainly have. Now, ever since being here, I have always complained about the price of fruit and vegetables here. They are extraordinarily expensive compared to the UK, and I finally found out one of the reasons why. I was doing a little Google search, and Japan is actually in third place for the most expensive apples. That's right, looking at some surveys on Numbero, the price for a 1 kilo bag of apples is in Japan, they are $5.51 per kilo. The United States, which I've also been there and found that they're expensive for fruit, is $4.78. So almost $1 difference. But here in the whopping UK, we were down on this survey as 42nd for a kilo of apples. It is $2.31, so quite a price difference. And for those of you wondering where is the cheapest place to get apples, I think this might be slightly wrong now. It was down as Ukraine at 50 cents, that 52 cents per kilos. However, there's a war going on there at the moment, so those prices have probably changed since this. In 104 out of the there's approximately 200 countries. A lot of African countries aren't in this, and a few in some of the ocean places, and some random ones as well aren't in this. But looking at this survey, Turkey is coming in at extremely cheap at 72 cents for fruit. Why is it so expensive in Japan? Well, they're one of the furthest away to ship them, obviously, and then you just come into loads of other problems as well. I don't quite fully understand it, but Japan is extremely expensive for fruit. But I thought Japan was bad. According to this survey, South Korea is even worse with a whopping, get ready for this, $6.45 per kilo of apples. One of their reasons, Japan has a similar problem. They have no roads that they can ship the stuff in thanks to North Korea. That's completely blocked out, so everything has to be shipped into South Korea, of course, raising the costs considerably. And it's not like the UK where we have so many different business connections that it just seems to make it cheaper. And also we're closer to Africa, and that makes a huge difference. But coming in for you with some other news going around the places. Japan being extremely safe to visit. I was looking, where are the safest cities to live in Japan? And it turns out coming in at number 1 is Yokohama, which is sort of just on the outside of Tokyo. It's the second largest city in Japan, and apparently thanks to a lot of safety innovations, it's now the first most safest place to visit. So if you're concerned about safety, Yokohama is the place to go. I have to say, Japan is one of the most safest cities that I have ever visited, and I was looking then at where's the most dangerous place to visit in Japan, and I have to say it's not particularly, I wouldn't class it as dangerous. You just have to be a little bit more wary perhaps than throughout the rest of Japan. Is just kind of some of the tourist spots. They're the ones that you really want to watch, and it's more just watching out for scams and a few other things. For example, I recently went to Fukuoka, and according to this article, the 7th most dangerous places to visit, this place in Fukuoka, Nakasu in Fukuoka, that's down as one of the most dangerous places. I actually went, there's a Don Quixote there, and I also walked along this town just to get to somewhere else, and I have to say, I didn't feel particularly unsafe. I remember thinking this is a little bit more run down than normal. There's a lot of bars. It's kind of like the red light district. But during the day, I felt absolutely fine. I've been to a lot worse places than that, let me tell you. At night, it's just one of those things. It's got a places of loads of bars, and you just have to be a little bit careful when you're wandering around there. And I'll be honest, I can't see myself going out in Nakasu in Fukuoka. I think there's so many better places to go out. When I was there, Tenjin has a good lot of bars. The Canal Union City, that has a lot of bars. And then also I've found when you get to sort of I believe it's the west side of the city, that also has got quite a hub as well, so better places to go. But if you're wondering what other places are on the list for the 7 most dangerous places in Japan to visit, there's this street in Osaka, which I'm going to butcher the name. It's Shinseikai in Osaka. Well, I'll definitely butcher the name of that. Uneo in Tokyo. Apparently that's due to a lot of homeless people being there, and there's a number of Yakuza groups to be careful of. But again, this is Japan. It's perfectly safe, these places. Just be careful if you go to them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the most dangerous places to visit. Roppongi in Tokyo is one to watch out for. Again, a lot of tourists, a lot of nightlife, and just be careful there. And I believe as well Shinjuku isn't on this list, but that's one just to be a little bit careful of as well. Sometimes there's you get a lot of tourists there, and where there's tourists, people try and take advantage of that. But I've been to Shinjuku. It's a beautiful place. It's lovely. I've stayed there 2 times now and had a lot of fun. We certainly have. And for those of you who don't know, I have a neighbour's cat that lives right next door to me. And one night I was sleeping, and I've got this thing with my back door that if I don't lock it, the wind will blow it open. And so the wind blew it open. I was sleeping, and next door's neighbour's cat just snuck in, and I woke up in the middle of the night just to find a cat sitting about 2 inches from my face. So I was like, whoa, what is going on? And that cat has just come to my window again to say hello to me, but I'm not letting it in again. I don't trust it anymore. It's an evil cat. But for news coming here in Japan, we also have, I was comparing the cost of living and different places and what's it like, and I have to say, compared to London, anywhere is particularly cheap. But I was looking at Fukuoka, and the price for rent in Fukuoka is incredibly reasonable. I thought some of them were coming in at about $400-500 for rent, which I thought was not compared to London's price of looking at around $2,000 for an apartment. Crazy stuff. Now we've got to that time of year again. Where have you seen about the big tuna market that always happens every year? And every year restaurants compete to make the big news line of how much money have they spent on one tuna. A few years ago, I believe the biggest one to come in was almost at over $1 million. But this year, a bluefin tuna has checked in at 36 million yen, which is roughly around $273,000. This happens all the time at New Year's auction. In fact, if you look in the last couple of years, I believe it was the start of 2019, one bluefin tuna just went for an absolute record, and it was so expensive. It was unbelievable. Would you pay for that much for tuna? The reason why they do it is because they want the press that comes with it. And you know, this restaurant now has got a lot of press. It's a big thing here in Japan, and people then try and buy parts of this restaurant's tuna. It's very big stuff. But also here in Japan, we have apparently just found out, if you're a big fan of Duolingo, Japan's users apparently spend the most time using it around the world. The most popular languages on them are, of course, English, and apparently Korean and Chinese are the next languages that are the most studied of them. Of course, Korea being so close and China being so close. But do you think Duolingo makes much of a difference? I've used it a couple of times. I think it's good and bad. I don't like how pernickety it can be sometimes. If you make a spelling mistake, it's an issue. But I think it's good sometimes to teach you new vocabulary that you wouldn't necessarily come up against. I still think at the moment the best way to actually learn a language is to, if you can, go to actual lessons for it. That obviously helps. But if you're just looking online, go and find the school that you want to, like a language school, and very often they will follow along with a book. So the one that I went to, it was the Mine no Nihongo series, was the textbook that my teachers were using when I went to 1 or 2 Japanese lessons. And then I went on YouTube, typed in that, and you can very often find people on YouTube who break down the book almost a lot better than the teachers do, and you can follow that along. So that's the free way if you want to do it. The only problem is if you're doing it at home, you don't actually get to practice speaking it, which is a big issue, I think, for people. And obviously when you come to places, you just need that practice of just speaking, and also making mistakes. But that is, we got one more story here. There's a new subsidy coming in for people who want to have children. Obviously, I've spoken about this before. Here in Japan, we have particularly low birth rate. It's one of the lowest in the world, and we're experiencing a lot of problems because of it. Obviously, people are aging, they're becoming older, they need help with care homes, healthcare, lots of different things, and there's not enough people to pay for it. So here in Tokyo, they are offering a 5,000 yen per child to address these issues. 5,000 yen is roughly about $50 a month to help with this. Of course, that is not going to make a huge difference if you live in Tokyo, because it is so expensive. There is also There's also a subsidy where you can receive up to 10,000 yen or 15,000 yen for people with low households. But again, that's not a lot. It's not going to make a huge difference if you're raising children. 10,000 yen, I believe, is about $100 and $150. Of course, it's going to help, but it's not enough money to make you think, I should start having some children because I can actually afford these now. It's just it's peanuts compared to it. It does help people who want to have children and who are on low incomes, but it's not a massive difference. But is it going to make a difference for you? Maybe that's the thing that's going to keep you going. If you suddenly find that you're thinking about having another child, this might. I wouldn't say it's going to make a huge difference, but it's going to be like, well, at least we can get that subsidy. That's a little bit better. Helps a little bit in the grand scheme of things. But that's it for the news today. What's been going on here on this beautiful island here in Japan? Oh, let me tell you, we've had a lot of time off thanks to the New Year's break, and also on the 9th of January, which is a Monday, we have another bank holiday. Thank you very much, Japan. I'll have all those bank holidays. They are the best thing that I could ever want for. So I've been exploring the island a little bit. It's always nice to have a 3-day weekend. So I recently went hiking, and there's a great place to go hiking down at sort of the south part of the island. There's called Kaneda Fortress Ruins, probably butchered the name. So that's got a great place. It's got some beautiful old fortress there. It's great for hiking. It's not particularly good if you're on the older side of it, especially to get to the top part of the sort of mountain area there. You really have to be quite fit fit. Some of the mountain is particularly like that, and you sort of have to scramble up it. But if you're not particularly fit, you can do some of the lower stuff. There's some easy bits that you can get around and see there, and it's just great getting out, enjoying nature as well. To get to it, you have to go through like a forest area. I went for a hike for a couple of hours, and I came back and was like, oh man, I need to do a lot more hiking. I certainly do. The island is absolutely beautiful for hiking if you can find the right spots. I've been to a couple now, and every single one I've enjoyed. And this is also the time for hiking now, because it's so cold, there's no bugs around, there's no creepy crawlies. It is brilliant, let me tell you that. So soon I'm going to try and climb, I believe the biggest mountain here on the island is Mount Shiratake, and I want to climb up that before the end of winter. Luckily I've still got a little bit of time. I was googling, so when is the coldest month here in Japan, and it's January, and then after that the second coldest is February, so still got a little bit of time to go. It is really cold here at night, let me tell you. I always wake up a little bit chilly, and I find as well I can't sleep with my AC on because it's so noisy. So what I have to try and do, whack it up to 30, get the room really hot, fall asleep, and then I'll wake up once in the middle of the night, whack the AC on again for like 10 minutes, and then switch it off, and bang, sorted. But yeah, Japan is particularly chilly at the moment, but there's a trade-off because I like not having any bugs or creepy crawlies in my apartment. During the summer, it seemed to be like, especially if I went away for a couple of days, I would always find some new bug or creepy crawly in my apartment. The worst ones were the geckos that we have around here. Then, yeah, they were the worst ones. There's always little geckos here, or little lizards that were crawling into my apartment. All the other ones, they weren't too bad. The spiders were fine. Everything else was fine. I once had a bird that got stuck on my balcony. That was a bit of a pain. So I came home from work one day, went upstairs to my balcony and just had a little look around, and then I could just see this bird like laying there, and I wasn't sure if it was dead or not on my balcony, and it was a pretty big bird as well, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get rid of that bird, this is gonna be such a pain. But I just thought to myself, you know what, let's just leave it for an hour, and maybe he's just knocked himself out and he'll wake up again. So I go back in an hour's time, and I can see him sort of flapping around. I'm like, yes, he's alive, brilliant. And because of how my balcony is, it's not got much depth, so it's kind of like that much depth and then quite wide. So the bird had to kind of work out that he needs to sort of hop to one end of it and then try and fly out like that instead of flying out like that. But he did it. The bird was free, and we all lived happily ever after. Yeah, that's it for the podcast for today. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are. Enjoy the winter while it lasts. Get out if you're here in Japan, go hiking, go check out some of those spots that you might not be able to get to during the summer, and I will see you in the next podcast coming up in the next couple of days. If you've got any news stories, be sure to let me know, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.